How's it, everybody? Welcome back to the Rocky Fern. My name is Luca and I have OI Type 4, and in today's episode of Show Me the Green, we're checking out this beautiful freaking guy. This is known as the Starfish Sansevieria. It's now been grouped into Dracaena, but let's get into it. So this is such a cool plant. Anyone who's kept succulents should be familiar with Sansevieria. It's now being grouped in with the Dracaena complex. So this used to be known as Sansevieria cylindrica. Some of the different varietals, the dwarf varietals, might be known as bonsell, but it's now known as Dracaena angolensis. So the species name gives it away. It is from Angola. It's a beautiful, beautiful succulent, super hardy, super easy to take care of. And my goal was to capture the inflorescence as it was happening, but I missed it, of course. And it's not like it didn't give me ample opportunity. It was about 4 weeks for this flower spike to fully develop. I'll post a pic here of the little asparagus look-alike before it grew out to be this. One thing to note here is my neighbor is growing, between her lot and my lot, is growing the Dracaena trifasciata, the common mother-in-law tongue plant, and that's in bloom too. So I got two pictures here. One with a flower spike that's pretty old like this one, and one that is just about ready to open. So it's a beautiful, beautiful plant. What I love about the Starfish Dracaena is the smell. My gosh, so this is such a perfumey, fragrant flower spike. It is very perfumey, florally. There's some tropical tones in there, a little like iris, a little honey. And while the trifasciata has a very nice smell to it as well, I actually prefer this guy, the angolensis, much more. It's just something about the really rich aroma that I just can't get enough of. So imagine this though, I'm going out to my front succulent garden where this is kept, and I smell something putrid, and I'm thinking somebody stepped in cat poop, maybe there's a dead toad. And it turns out to be a Caralluma species that finally opened, and it's amazing. That's going to be on an upcoming video. But it was interlaced with this beautiful smelling thing, so I was having this waft of like very complex smells going on, and I didn't know if I was happy or sad. And it was a pretty unique situation to go out there. My kids were going out there too and go, "Oh, it smells so nice, so bad, so nice." Pretty funny. But anyway, back to this guy. So this is known as the Starfish Dracaena, and it does have more cylindrical leaves rather than the flat leaves. And truth be told, while everyone knows plants are kind of like my obsession, at least in this stage of my life, it used to be animals, it still is, but living here in Hawaii, it's a lot harder to get my hands on some of the more exotic animals. So plants have definitely been instrumental in helping me explore the natural world. But I digress. So my point was that Dracaena are kind of like my guilty pleasure genus. They are something, just something about them really scratches an itch that I have. And while trifasciata is beautiful, it is probably my least favorite of the whole clade. But cylindrica, now known as angolensis, is definitely up there. The hollyi, the baseball bat, the honii, the dwarf samurai, the pinguicula, oh my goodness. That is such a cool one. There's just so many different varietals out there that are beautiful in their own right. They're super easy to care for. Anyone who's kept a Sansevieria will know that they can tolerate long exposures to low light, while they do best in high light. And some of them do really well in direct full sun. Most of my collection actually is exposed to most of the day to western sun. So they actually are growing really well, really fast. And they actually take low availability to water quite well. So they tolerate drought really, really well. They have rotted out on me, especially when they're in an area that we're getting exposed to some of our heavier rains. They are now tucked back a little bit, and they only get the water that I supply them. And I water them maybe once a month. In the summertime, I might do every 2 weeks because I underpot and I water infrequently for my Dracaena, for sure. Now, other Dracaena can handle tons of water. We have a lot of dragon trees out here that are, exposed to the full deluge of rain during our rainy season, and they do great. They grow really big and they're beautiful. But these more succulent varieties, they definitely like to be underpotted, underwatered. This guy's definitely due for water. His leaves are starting to wrinkle a little bit. And what was cool is when I first bought this at a local nursery here, it was just this guy. This is where you kind of get the starfish, common name for it. While the new growth hasn't formed these round leaves yet, and I'm not sure what causes that, the new growth is straight. But it did, when I bought it, it did put out, I think, one new leaf, and it was about to put out a second new leaf when it threw out a flower spike. And what's interesting is when that flower spike died, it shot out this pup. Now this pup is much bigger than the mother plant was, and I think that's just because it's in a much bigger pot than it was when I first purchased it. And it wasn't being treated, or it was neglected, let's be fair, when I found it, and it was in the discount bin or whatever the case may be. And so I took it home and it bounced back really, really well. They do have a tendency to rot if you overwater them. And one thing I will notice is I will come through here and I'll pull off any of these older leaves. This guy got bumped when I was taking them off, so he wasn't really quite ready to come off, but I'm still going to take him off. But kind of give you a close-up here of what we're looking at. Just that really cool variegation. I love the look of that. And you can see how it's wrinkling there. Anytime a plant wrinkles that's very thick and robust like this, it's usually a good indicator that it comes from a seasonally dry, or it's used to drought in its ecology. So very cool. The potting mix in this particular case has a ton of lava rock in it, coco coir, pumice, perlite, and some it looks like charcoal, and also some compost from my garden. So I am using a slow release fertilizer, but I tend to use, and these guys, my compost as a slow release fertilizer, and I top it off maybe once a month, or once a year rather, to maybe twice a year, depending on what my compost is doing. I do know my compost, it chews through a lot of green waste, a ton. I mean, literally, it could be a ton over the years, and it just reduces it to a super concentrated, beautiful magic gold. So just a thin top layering of this top dressing, and it's great. The only other thing I'll say is pests. So thankfully the Dracaena collection, which right now I probably have 9 to 10 different species in that collection, haven't been hit with my most common issue, which is snails, and the second most common being mealybugs. Thankfully for now. Now I do sometimes spray these guys down with neem oil if I start to see around the area that there's quite a bit of infestation of something, but the plants themselves have been fine, and the thicker leaves really help the snails avoid it. Now the snails will eat, I mean, caduciforms, they'll eat cactus, they're crazy. But so far, thankfully, I've been lucky to avoid anything like that. And when I say I only have 9 or 10 in the Dracaena collection, it's been very hard not to just drain my bank account to buy as many different types of Dracaena as I can. I'm really into the oddball succulents, and like I said, these guys are kind of, for whatever reason, they scratch an itch that I can't get enough of. So I do have a pinguicula, which is that walking Dracaena, which I think is awesome. I have the holly eye, the honey eye, different things like that. We'll get into the collection. Maybe I'll do a Dracaena tour here in a little bit. And I wish we had smell-o-vision, because the smell coming off these guys it's amazing. Honeysuckle is really the first thing that comes to me. If you ever lived where there's a honeysuckle vine and it has those really pretty red flowers, this reminds me of that. But yeah, so we're getting close to 1,000. That's the goal this year for subscribers, and you guys are super instrumental in obviously helping me get there. It's been really, really fun to grow with the channel with you guys, to have this kind of intimate relationship that we have, where you guys can comment and suggest things and just comment on the collection. It's been nice. As you guys have probably noticed, I took a little bit of reprieve the last month. I just needed it, a little mental break. I think mental health is super important, and it's been a rough year. And so, yeah, I took it, and it's been nice. I'm going to come back, and we'll go that route. As you guys may know, I have a podcast where we talk about mental health, and that's at Wishbone with Luca. And I would love it if you guys join me there too. But if you guys like what you see here, definitely give a like and a subscribe. I'm going to be getting into making my own paper for watercolor, and making my own lamps, and turning some lamp bases. So if that kind of thing is exciting for you and you guys would like to see that process, definitely stay tuned. Those videos are coming. I'm excited. Something else to express the old artistic flare there. And until then, we will see you guys on the next adventure.